endurance road bikes, I'd started to do my head in a bit. I'm going to talk about it. I've just been watching this YouTube video about 10 best endurance road bikes of 2023 or whatever it was. And as I was watching it, I felt like none of them actually hit the mark for being an endurance bike. It was more like the marketing department, the manufacturing department, the design department all got together one crazy night and had a menage a trois. And what came out was this thing that's completely lost its identity and meaning. And I feel like I'm going to tell you what I think. And as always, these videos are just a starter. You guys add to it in the comments and let me know what you think. All right, here is a quick presentation I've put together. Very quickly, endurance is the ability to make energy, do the distance, and the ability to mitigate pain and endure that. Now, we cover this a bit on the Strength and Speed channel, but I think the bike actually only makes up a very, very small portion of it. The body, strength, flexibility, yes. The mind, your mindset, yes. But also, can you fix problems? Do you know when to eat? All those sort of things. And the bike actually contributes this much. And what you want from it is this: confident handling. Because in an endurance activity, you are going to be tired and distracted, and you don't want your bike to just be a part of you. You do not want to be thinking about twitchy handling or squeaks or queaks or anything like that. You just need it to work, and it's got to be reliable, because you do not want to be putting all that pain and energy into a ride for your bike to conk out in a way that you cannot fix it when you're just a few kilometers away from the finish line, or not be fixed by, roadside mechanic or whatever. And yes, comfort is important, but I think all these brands have been concentrating too much on comfort and forgetting the big picture of endurance. So I want to talk about geometry very, very quickly to prove my point, and a very, very quick geometry lesson. This is a massive subject, could take 90 minutes, 2 hours. I might do it one day, let me know. But I want to concentrate on these three things: stack height, how high your handlebars are going to be relative to the bottom bracket; the head angle, this dotted line here, basically where the steering axis interacts with the ground; and the trail, which if you took a line from the front wheel axle down and then measured it to where the steering axis would come down, this impacts the angle of attack, if you like, of the front wheel. Now, these are just three things that I think really make up that good, confident handling of an endurance bike. I've put the reach in there as well, because the reach is how far you have to reach to get to the handlebars, essentially. Now, quick one. A bike fitter will be able to look at your biomechanics and get your contact points, your feet, your arse and your hands, in the right place biomechanically for you to pedal efficiently. But as they do so, they're going to be manipulating the handling characteristics of your bike. So the talent of a really good bike fitter is to get you in the right position biomechanically and not compromise the handling characteristics that you want from your bike. Because as you make stems longer and handlebars higher and push weight distribution back, you change everything, and you might need to be looking at a completely different type of bike to get the fit characteristics that you want. All right, back to the presentation. So I've just picked out this continuum, if you like, and I've just chosen Trek because such a big brand. These are all house names, if you like, in cycling, so we know what we're looking at. The Madone, out and out race bike, steep head angle, short trail, and it'll hold a line in curves. It'll weave around a criterium circuit, out of the saddle on alpine climbs. It'll feel pretty good. Sweep in nice smooth mountain roads, feel great. And in crosswinds, it'll be okay. On the other side, we have gravel bikes, very, very slack head angles comparatively, will be really, really stable at high speed. So bombing down a steep mountain pass, hitting potholes. It'll feel great at rough roads because the steering sort of self-corrects. If hitting road debris, that sort of thing. This is where your confident handling comes from, especially on when you're tired, is that sort of long trail and slack head angles. The downsides is that it will feel quite light at slow speed. So when you're on that slow, grindy climb, the handling will feel a little bit loose. I don't know about you, but I prefer my handling to be the other way around in that sort of endurance situation. So quick look at the numbers, won't labour this on, but you can see that the Boon and the Checkpoint, the Boon is actually a cyclocross bike. And I actually think cyclocross bikes are actually very, very good endurance bikes. Look at that head angle, 72, almost the same as a Domane. Look how steep that Madone is comparatively. The difference you can see here is this 67 on the trail is coming from the rake of the fork, pushing that out and making that more stable again. And the stack height, the Madone, super low, super aero. The Domane, super high, big open hips. The Boon, a little bit more racy, it's the cyclocross bike, and the Checkpoint definitely sort of sit up, carrying bags and that sort of thing. I actually think that this Boon, this cyclocross bike, is actually a very, very good option for endurance rides. Okay, because it gives us all of this. It gives me that confident handling. It's reliable. Look, there's hardly anything to go wrong on it. It's simple, it's mechanical, there's no weird ISO speed decouplers and stuff like that going on. It's a very, very simple, reliable bike. And comfort can all come from your tyres. Loads and loads of tyre clearance. Get 35s on there. Absolutely fantastic. And I'll put it to you, for a lot of people doing big endurance type rides, this is actually a good option. Let me know what you think. Now, to complicate things and sort of illustrate my point, this is a Giant Defy. The trail is actually quite short, 58.2. Head angle is quite steep, 72.5. But the stack height, the handlebar height, is very high at 605 millimeters. So this sort of bike is actually more like a relaxed road race geometry. So it's got all the sort of racy geometry, but the stack height makes it quite good for people with low hip mobility, but still want that racy feel, not necessarily an endurance bike. Now, I put a warning on here, small rider issue. Now, let me show you what I mean by that. This is the geometry chart for the Giant Defy. And if you look across here, we've got small, medium, large, extra large. Here's the trail. Working backwards, 58, 58.2, 58.2, 58.2. Size small, 63.1. Big compromise here. You don't get this on all bikes. So let's look at the Boon, for instance. That trail is 6.6. You get the idea. And the small actually gets a bit longer. The Domane, the trail is actually pretty consistent across all sizes. Now, the reason that I say this is a problem is because if you get this sudden change in geometry for the small size, one, as a small rider, you are not getting the same ride experience as other size riders, but also you really risk that toe overlap situation where you try and turn the steering and your toes clash with the front wheel. So big red flag. If you see that as a small rider, like, question it, go for a test ride, really dig into those geometry charts. Promise you it'll be worth it. Okay, back to the presentation, and this is what I think could be a really good option for endurance road. This is a Rondo Hurt HVRT, and I've taken these numbers from geometrygeeks.bike and yokin.net/bike. Like, if you fancy like a wet afternoon looking at geometry numbers, go and check them out. But this bike has a low and high position. You can change it by changing a little thing in the front wheel axle there, by changing the geometry. And in the low position, this is great. Look at this head angle. It's almost got the same head angle as a cyclocross bike or a gravel bike. The trail is almost exactly the same as well, 66, 67, etc. But the stack height is a little bit lower. So this actually, I think, is fantastic for endurance road, because you're getting that confident handling you want, but in a more of a weight distribution that lends itself to road and muscular efficiency. And you can change it if you really want to go absolute racy. You can go to Trek Madone type of geometry as well. So anyway, I actually had one of these and I built it all up. You can probably see it in one of the videos where we talked about Di2 installation. That bike was going to be my bike, but during the whole COVID thing, I had to sell it, sadly. And I haven't seen another one in a nice paint job, sadly. But this is still very much a bike that I'm looking forward to owning one day. Okay, so when you're looking at the bike, I want you to ask yourself, where does it sit on this continuum? Road race, the lightweight ones tend to be very, very steep, very, very nimble, quite aggressive geometry. And road ride, as in not racing, just riding on the roads in a town bike. And sort of where on this continuum are you wanting your bike to be? Because I think quite a lot of people right now are discovering that gravel geometry is really suiting them in endurance road riding situations. How many people do you know that have just brought a gravel bike and just say, I'm actually really enjoying just riding this out on the road. It's comfortable, it's confidence inspiring. I just like riding it. I know quite a few people, and we've definitely done custom builds for people using gravel bikes for that exact reason. Okay. So quickly, other considerations, if you're putting together an endurance bike, is wheels and tyres. Tyres make so much difference to that endurance-y type feel. Contact points, we talked about this, is yes, you can get your contact points where you need to be biomechanically, but it can completely destroy the handling characteristics of the bike that you think you're buying. So you need to think about those two, come at it from both angles, bike fit and handling. A good bike fitter will consider both of those. Weight distribution, remember that as you raise handlebars to try and open up hips, you're putting more of your weight onto your bum and you're reducing how much your core can work. So then you're going to introduce movement and moisture down into your bum area and cause saddle sore. So everything's got a compromise. Rider flexibility, rider core strength. Everyone wants to ignore these, but these probably have more impact on you as an endurance rider than anything else other than injury. And if that is a problem, maybe think about flat bars. Flat bars is actually a really good option for a lot of endurance-y type riding. So just putting it out there. Okay, finally, when you're looking at your endurance bike, ask yourself, reliability. You want the fewest points of failure possible. Like, you do not want loads and loads of batteries and weird bits and bobs that you can't fix. Imagine you're doing something like the Mallorca 312 or a coast to coast, and you're 20 kilometers from the end. You put all your training effort into it. You know, you're in pain, you busted a gut to get there, and you can't finish it because your bike's let you down and you can't repair it in situ. That, to me, if you're doing endurance activities, is super, super important. Okay, and there's my take. I think right now, if you are really looking for a bike ready for endurance, you've got to go custom. I don't think there's much choice. Honestly, out there, I think everything on the endurance label is compromised. Let me know what you think. Again, put it down in the comments. Let's start the discussion going. I'm really looking forward to seeing what you guys have got to say. If you like this sort of content, please consider subscribing. And I think this is day 12 now of make as much cycling content while the World Cup is on as possible. I'm still enjoying it. I hope you are too. Until the next time, take it easy. Cheers.